And in today's conversation on Point of Order, we aim to gain a deeper understanding of the Directorate on Intelligence and Security, otherwise known as the DIS, its role in protecting Botswana's national interests, the controversies that surround the institution, the agency, and questions of accountability and oversight, and whether the agency has lived up to the purpose for which it was created in the very first place. Do remember that this conversation means very little without you. If there's a question or a comment that you may have, make sure to send through a text or a voice note on our WhatsApp line, +267 391 1066, and we'll definitely be very eager to engage with you this evening. And of course, this evening on Point of Order, we're joined by Mr. Spencer Mogapi of Tsogo Consultancy. Spencer Mogapi is a strategic communications expert. He is a writer and a commentator. He's also the former editor of the Sunday Standard and the Telegraph, former chairperson of the Botswana Editors Forum, and the founder of Advanced Botswana with Spencer Mogapi. Mr. Mogapi, thank you so much for joining us this morning, joining us this evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me. So I'm fine. Thank you.
I've been actually looking for this interview for quite a long time. So
thank you.
I'm excited that you are here.
For having me.
All right. Thank you so much. So as before we get into the main discussion that we want to have this evening, right? Let's get to understand who we're talking to here. Maybe briefly take us through who Mr. Spencer Mogapi is, your background, your education, and most importantly, why should people listen to what you have to say today?
Thanks very much, So once again, you've pretty much covered my background in your introduction. I am Spencer Mogapi. I was born in Tonota. I attended school there and then later on came to the University of Botswana, where I studied economy, history, and development sociology. After graduating, I joined journalism on a full-time basis. I worked as a journalist for well over 25 years. And then I left to go and start Tsogo Advisory. So I still write a political column on a weekly basis in the Sunday Standard. Other than that, I do a lot of political analysis, could be on radio, on social media, on TV, because basically politics has remained my passion. Yeah.
Okay, so you used to be an editor, right?
Yes,
yes.
How
was those days as an editor?
Look, it was pretty good. I enjoyed the journalism. I rose through the ranks because I started as a very junior reporter at Botswana Gazette and then went through to become the editor of Botswana Gazette. It was, I think, around 2003, 2004 that a group of us left to go and start Sunday Standard. So I've always enjoyed journalism. I still like to write, but you get a burnout. Along the way, I decided, no, I had had enough. And I wanted to do something else.
And you just confirmed something quite important for me. My research was telling me that you're one of the founders of Sunday Standard.
Yes, that's true.
That is true. How did that come about?
I'll tell you, around 1999, 1990, 2000, the idea came to me that maybe we needed to get an independent, truly independent newspaper made up of journalists. I was myself really fed up having to work for business people, some of them family businesses, and I thought that they did not give sufficient space to true journalism. And then I convinced a group of guys, Oza Mukoni, Prof. Malema, and a few others, to consider the idea of breaking out to go and start an independent newspaper. And so it was, and we started Sunday Standard. It was not easy in the beginning because we had almost nothing to start the paper with. We got some funding from a company owned by the BS and Depswana at the time. It was called Pay Holdings, and that's how we started. And later on, we had CEDA coming on board. Very, very grateful, I think, for the assistance we got from them too.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
That we have today, right? The Directorate of Intelligence and Security Services, otherwise known in Botswana as the DIS. What was this agency created to do? Why did Botswana believe that we needed an intelligence agency in our country in 2008 when it was established?
Thank you very much. I'll speak mainly in Setswana so that I can truly communicate to Batobans. I think DIS, as it is commonly known, is just around 2007, 2009, between those years.
Yes.
Kamolao, Pele, and then the real operationalization of it. In a similar BDP at the time, especially the key guys, I think Nelena Kwaga Festus Mogai, but people still believe for the man behind it was his vice president, Ian Kham. They felt strongly that Botswana needed a strong intelligence outfit. Babo ba simolla yone DIS go tile molao, but under Mogai tota there was no DIS. Is in ele molao hela, I think go signed ke Mogai and then he left. DIS is simoletse sente ka mang ka Ian Kham, and you'll see gore be I nela man to run it, Isaac Khosi. His aide at the time, I think in senior private secretary. He was the founding director. On the first day, Ian Khama and President April 1, I think, Aba announced his vice president was Merafi, and the only other position that he announced, if I remember well, in Isaac Khosi, Rotaba DIS. So DIS was very important to Ian Khama, I think mainly because of his background, but also there was general consensus among the security people for Botswana in a toka a serious intelligence outfit, because nakwate ne gona le special branch ko Botswana police, ne gona le military intelligence ko Botswana defense force, but why did they feel gore ba ne ba thoka DIS? I think when you look back ke gona ta bona gore the reason why DIS has struggled with legitimate issues ke gone gore tota Batswana bone they felt left behind, ne ba se convinced at the time gore le ha se le thoka an intelligence, a serious and big intelligence outfit, because Batswana ba dumela gore go mo go to dirisa se politique. Number one, go tilo go khontsha ba bangwe ba eleng gore ba na le dikakanyo tse di harologane le ba ba busang, le mo go bone ba ba busang ba ba sa dumelaneng le the leader ba ne ba dumela gore e tilo ba target. And generally I think how level gape DIS, the reason why up to this day santse struggler ke gone gore Batswana ba ntse ba dumela gore indeed their fears had come to pass, gore DIS e dirisiwa mo se politiking, e diriswa go khontsha political opponents, e diriswa to serve those who are in power at any given time.
Bale bantsi mo lehatsheng la rona Batswana ka rona ba confuse the DIS with sometimes the Botswana Police Service and sometimes the Botswana Defense Force, right? A gore tlhaloganye sente gore where and how does the DIS differ from sepodisi le sesole sa rona? Where does its mandate begin and where does it end?
DIS is totally independent and detached from sepodisi le sesole. But there's an overlap, because how level the director general it says it's in the tenko DIS champion baba bedi hela. I think mo guys go se lo champion pitama go bote ba tswa BDF. How level batho baba recruitwa thata go bereka go DIS. Police, many of them would have served ko Botswana police, bangwe ne le ma CID, bangwe ne le ma police, regular police, bangwe go ne ba tswana ko special branch. Go tswa ho go tswa masole, bangwe ne le ma commando, special forces, bangwe ne ba le mo intelligence. So ke gone those are the hunting grounds tsa DIS. So that is why mainly batho ba kopanya le sesole le police, but DIS is totally different. The only thing gare go na le intelligence outfit ko Botswana police, bangwe ba bidwa CID, bangwe ba bidwa special branch ana ka no gape go na le military intelligence ko Botswana defense force. So gongwe ke gone mo eleng gore batho bangwe ba ka tswa ba sa tlhaloganye, but DIS yone hela ka bo yone ina le mandate wa yone, it's a mandate from the act, ya ISS act. I think that ke sone se nka se buang ka bo
okay, kana se leng gore ra se itse ka DIS jaaka Peter Magosina bua the director general gore ina le isiphiri mokgwa yone ya la litiro ya yone isiphiri, and we know intelligence agencies around the world, they often work in secrecy. How much secrecy is necessary for the DIS to operate? Where should this transparency begin, especially mo democracy e tshwana le ya rona mo Botswana?
Yeah, I think go bua ba maruri intelligence e bereka mo sephiring, because dio tsa bone tsa ba di dirang buzi ya tsone ke tse di thokang sephiri. But how manager intelligence only at the level ya ga director general o tshwanetse gore bo itse gore go na le go mo accountability in a democracy, go na le go mo the oversight in a democracy, go na le go mo transparency. So dio tse di a go thulana go gongwe. I think problem ka DIS since inception ke gone gore yone it has failed to manage a relationship ya yone le democratic accountability, do tshwana bo transparency, le hela gore e direle dilo ba tswana ba thaloganya gore e irae. Number 2, relationship ya yone le media especially, it has been adversarial for most of the time. Ba go mo go dirile gore media should thrive, in fact, ka sensationalism when it comes to intelligence. O bo ipotsa gore why DIS e harologana le di intelligence tse dingwe tsa mahatshe a mangwe. Why have Botswana refused to offer their vote of legitimacy to this organization? Why have they been so skeptical about it, even cynical, I would say? So it's because of the way DIS has managed itself. It has really failed to manage its own relations with different organizations. Number 1, lema parliament tota e palwa ke go manage its relationship le bone is domineering. Number 2, I think it was the late Isaac Khosi who at one point he's not accountable to anyone.
Yes.
You don't get that in a democracy. You are always accountable if you are a public officer. So this thing DIS in especially the Director General would feel accountable only to the President has really done DIS a lot of disservice. And then lastly, the extent to which DIS relationship, especially the ruling elite, it has politicized DIS. Could be Nakoyadom Korare, it could be today. Anybody would always be suspicious or this relationship is no longer professional. So they really have to do something to manage that, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so today is 2026, right? From 2008, we are now 18 years into the existence of the DIS. How should an ordinary Motswana Kolaping judge whether the DIS has failed or succeeded? What are those benchmarks, that criteria? Amid this organization, you know,
when you say that, first I would say, look, I was looking at the organizations in DIS from 2007 to date. If you take CIA, I think it has had about 7-8 directors. If you take Mossad, they would have had 5-6 directors. If you take MI6,
yes,
it would have 5. So why the directors of Botswana have only, DIS has only had 2. I think that's very dangerous for the country. Number 1, you don't these people but share information or ke hearts. Hayo mongwe I tshwara for so long, 10 years. That's very dangerous for the country. Number 2, ha hilwe 4 or 5 years or the Director General, my feeling is beyond 5 years, total there is nothing for you to offer, because this is a very demanding job. So we should look into the tenure. Director General, so that it should be in law, or you can only serve so many years. But generally, I would say it's difficult to evaluate DIS successful or not. Number 1, because he did not do it period. But they have been there in public. Generally, DIS has failed the test. Number 1, I can talk about the most glaring one, 100 billion. Yeah. Director General but it was public, and check no, things don't add up. How it would be the way they treated the former minister, Dr. Matseka. Leone, they did not really execute themselves well. But this is not to say who knows a threat, an attack on the life of the president, but an attack on Bank of Botswana, an attack on this and this. But so it's difficult to really evaluate them fairly. But where the public has been called to the party, they've not really done well, LDIS. Yeah.
Director General of the DIS, right, Brigadier Peter Mahosi, he recently told Parliament through the Public Accounts Committee that DIS cannot publicly discuss many of its achievements because of this issue of national security, right? You've talked about this a bit, but I want to understand, is this a reasonable explanation, or does it leave Botswana taxpayers paying for an agency whose value they cannot even measure?
No, I think it's a reasonable excuse. The problem comes in Highland, or now they excessively use it. How about national security? How about national security? Because, like I was saying, in a democracy, intelligence and we have seen CIA account. The biggest problem has got to do with how a director general is appointed. But how America, the president would nominate, and then the Senate would approve. So this thing, only accountable. So I think there's still a lot to do in managing this outfit, because practically we need DIS. Yeah, but the culture, we have failed from the beginning. The controversy, I remember covering Molao Parliament for DIS. I think the opposition at the time was led by Mup. They walked out. Yeah. So that controversy stuck with DIS up to this day. So it would really take serious introspection with DIS for how do they move ahead.
Looking back at DIS's history, would you say DIS right now is remembered for protecting Botswana, or for all of these controversies still what have surrounded it?
Yeah, can you problem in na gone gore dio tse dirang bontsi ya tsone ke tsa mo spirit. But how about Botswana, because they now hate DIS with passion, how about some of the people ba ba berekileng ko DIS because they are no le bone go lwa bone gape? You get a feeling ya gore Botswana ba to ba no, we need something else, please. Are simullensish wa bona, are simullensish. So it's difficult, but at a pragmatic level, a gona le hats today le ka thokang le le ka reng ga le batte an intelligence outfit. No, right talk. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back at it. This evening we are with Mr. Spencer Mogapi, and we're talking about the Directorate on Intelligence and Security, the DIS, right? About its achievements, about its successes, about maybe some of its failures and the challenges that it has faced, and how Botswana view it in this day and age. Like I said, make sure to hit us up on the WhatsApp line, +267 391 1066. If there's a question or comment that you may have, please do engage with us. We are definitely willing to do so. We want to hear what you have to say, right? It's called Point of Order.
Yarona. WhatsApp it. Share your thoughts, celebration, your rants. High points or low points. Or just share your day with us via text or VN +267 391 1066. 391 1066. So Yarona FM. Still to come on Point of Order.
Ninja.
Shawty, if you're lonely, Tamogala and call my phone. Baby, we can do it all night. Baby, we can do it all night. Shawty, if you're lonely, Tamogala and call my phone. Baby, we can do it all night. 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 Tola da ke phatsa on your block ke tsere skorokoro ke study this stock ke jele mates ke ralela roadblock ke tsere mayamo kunyata wa le traffic cop ke gopola nako tsele tsa bozamazama nako tsa di units go sena bo go zama wa Botswana ke feel re ba robetse monna that's why ke rapa ke apere di pijama 72 bo wa le na tsa tsilotle tsenya 6 tiger re bua kgwedi yotle ya no tla bosa tlhoke go reka karata re thola mo mogaleng tsa tsilotle sim karata Baby, we can do it all night. Baby, we can do it all night. Baby, we can do it all
got the leg but nothing but lie. If you don't pick up, that just might be real life. My girls keep telling me you're not a good guy, but that just makes me want you more, I can't lie. You got the kind of vibe that I can deny. In Afrikaans we call it Epilemni. Together, keke, baby, take a big slice and hit me up on my orange device. But when I get the leopard, we should use them, give them back. That's the kind of that I just can't do. I ain't fighting no girl over you, I'll fight you and make a movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith Part 2. You said you gon' bless me, baby, I say hot you. I tell you what to do, like baby, hop to. Call me on my silly, like what you up to. I said that I want you, you say babe, I got you.
Shawty, if you lonely, Tamurala and call my phone. Baby, we can do it all night long. Baby, we can do it all night long. Shawty, if you lonely, Tamurala and call my phone. Baby, we can do it all night long. Baby, we can do it all night long.
This is by Baxon featuring Sasa Class. It's called Bua Lin. Now, rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, when it comes to female representation in the hip-hop game, in the music game, Sasa Class is definitely one of those people that really stands out. But like I said, we are with Mr. Spencer Mogapi, and we're talking about the DIS, the Directorate on Intelligence and Security, talking about everything to do with it, its mandate, its failures, its achievements, some of the challenges that they face as an organization, and why it is important, mobile swanning, right? Hit us up on the WhatsApp line, +267 391 1066, and let us know. What do you think?
No one is going to tell me what to do at what time. I'm in charge. That's why these fools are running around here. I'm in charge. On a point of change.
Order, Chairperson.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Order, Chairperson.
Point of order. Ruling party by
Order, Chairperson.
order.
Point of order with Sosa. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. on Yarona FM. Live the music.
Back to the conversation at hand this evening, talking about the Directorate on Intelligence and Security, right? So, Mr. Mogapi, the DIS as an organization, as an agency, they faced many allegations ranging from political interference and surveillance. We've heard about the cases of We've heard rumors about the Homolemo Motswaledi's death, the 100 billion or butterfly case, and questions about its conduct in general. Do you think these are isolated incidents, or do they point to a deeper institutional problem here at DIS?
I'll tell you, because DIS started on a wrong footing, because there's so much suspicion. For example, who patelisa DIS kana ho yakela and then end up batho ba dumela gore indeed ke yona. So the biggest problem in case lebeletseng ke ga se go DIS is peer. It's one to I think the biggest problem hape ke ma politique. They have failed DIS bone ma politique. Number one, ka di was a kgang ya oversight. Molao wa DIS o supa dio tse pedi as oversight. Number one, a strong committee ya parliament. Number two, a semi-judicial committee. E leng gore ta be hediwa pele ke a lawyer qualified enough or senior enough to be a judge. I will tell you how Lebella at formation. Who know who the tribunal was chaired by? Who? Isaac Solok. Yeah, a top BDP guy who had been in the central committee of the BDP, I think, for close to 20 years. So that is not helping DIS. And then I think later on came who? Zain Kibona. That was not even when he was a judge. I think that was when he was active for Domkrach. So when you look back, they have been very bad for DIS. So we thought UDC it would bring in serious changes, especially because up to now or recently, my parliamentary opposition never had out to sit a more committee oversight intelligence.
Yes.
They had refused. And people, in fact, sympathized le ma politica opposition, ma parliamentary opposition. No, you guys are right. You are being principled because homo is nothing other than blah, blah, blah. So now I think it's not too late to save DIS, especially to give it credibility. But it has to start at the top, where there is power, where there is authority. Number one, the appointing authority. We should maybe allow the president to appoint the name, but Parliament should play a role. But from there on, the Director General, once appointed, he really needs to know whether there is transparency that is required of him. There is some level of accountability to institutions in Parliament. like Isaac Kosi, may his soul rest in peace, once said, you can't. Not in a democracy.
Let me get your thinking on some of the particular things that we've heard or we've seen, right? Recently, Brigadier Peter Mahosi, when he was before the PAC, he explained to them he can spend 3 months as a moraking, a driver to run his personal errands, right? What's your take on that?
I'll be very generous to Peter Magos. Now at his level, I think so Setswanan driver is somewhere you long full time. I cannot tiro including private runs. As long as the dira tiro ya more comfortable. So I think that would be very much annoyed. But it also stems from the fact that people don't like DIS. But also they just don't like Peter Mahosi because they associate him with all the evils that he has. So, but we have to be generous to the men at that level. Certainly he deserves they have access to it 24 hours. And also the driver. Otherwise, they have to work including on Sunday. So who suffers? So now this is why I don't think a person should be Director General for over 4 years because you get burned out. So 4 years is enough. Beyond that, then there's not, if you have not achieved it within the first 4 years, then you will never be able to achieve transforming DIS. Right now, good DIS, there's a lot of human resource problems. Some have been earning, and I'm talking about including deputy director generals, very senior level, for many years. So it's not good, certainly not for the image. DIS, but also for the country. Because these people actually if they are so disillusioned, if they are so aggrieved, what guarantees they including to the enemies?
Okay, and speaking about the image of the country, let's get into the 100 billion Pula case, right? 100 billion from government coffers, and it was taken through corruption, right? This is how this case came about, and recently we were now losing a case in the High Court to Bridget Motsepe and others. We must now publicly apologize for this issue. Brigadier Peter Mahosi comes before the PAC and he says that 100 billion has gone, but we are being told by other ministries, other organs of government, that this thing is not true. This thing is a fallacy, and this thing it's not something. It was something that was cramped up just to frustrate some people politically. What's your take on all of this?
I think when you look at the way he followed the 100 billion issue, Peter Maros, I think he really put everything into it. And the way it turned out, and if you ask me, I think he really wanted to use it to save the face DIS ultimately, to reinvent it. This is how useful DIS can be. But it didn't work out. So he still had, it didn't work out because he had put in so much investment, personally, emotions and everything into it. So I think he should let go. Which is why I think he should retire Hela Sinte and leave everything to his successor. Because it's hurtful, especially if you've put in so much energy into one thing and then it turns out to be wrong, or you don't get the results that you had hoped for. But 100 billion has been a fiasco. I'm telling you, it has cost Botswana a lot. Image outside, it almost killed relations, especially with South Africa, because the Reserve Bank of South Africa need key people like Bonebo, Bridget Motsepe, business people. So it will be relations will come back. But if we still insist on following it, even when evidence leads us somewhere else, we might end up now really soiling the country beyond what has already happened.
Okay, I think that one is fine, most especially because the DG did explain Horikana how the DPP there's no case here 100 billion or investigations have not been fruitful to be able to pass that file to the DPP.
So, yes, exactly. Yeah.
The Director General works with his wife at the DIS, and he promoted her from C2 scale, government scale, to E2, which is a jump of about 25,000, right? What's your take on this issue?
I think it's a very unfortunate scenario. It's very usual. I don't see anything wrong with a top boss marrying their junior, because especially if they spend Nakwenzi together, ultimately the relationships will emerge. But it is when now they set aside the rules where they will declare the conflict by way of saying, no, I will not do it by way of promoting somebody else, or a committee will do that. I think it has been very unfortunate. I hope they have learned from it. But it also goes to paint and show the bigger problems, internal controls that the DIS has. I hope they have learned. It's really been very painful watching him try to explain it. Yeah,
but are you saying it's okay?
No,
a junior officer.
No, it would happen, especially if you spend time together. Unless it is explicitly forbidden. I think BDF would do that. But where it is not, what is important is to immediately declare before you go to Kanyadi promotion, so that when promotions come, it is somebody else who handled that other than you. Or in the process, you really have to advise your wife to leave, because you are so senior, and there's going to be always Kanya perception, a conflict of interest. So once you guys fall in love, even before marriage, somebody should say, for the benefit of peace, let me leave the organization.
But they don't like the DIS. Critics of the DIS, they have often accused it of becoming maybe too close to political power, as opposed to remaining politically neutral, right? How dangerous is this for an intelligence agency to be perceived, not even for it to be, at least for it to be perceived as serving a government rather than serving the republic and its people?
It's very, very dangerous, especially if it's an organization on whose very national security rests. Because what it means is that you get entangled as an organization, more political party feuds, you get entangled and ultimately in elections and who really has to come out the winner. You get entangled on the direction of who among the contenders you really take sides with. Because like I'm saying, DIS really there are many templates for it to look at. Mossad is never interested in who becomes the prime minister. Whoever comes in, they will. In fact, they even brief the opposition leader. You see? Yeah, it's same in America. Once elections are about to happen, the leader or the contenders, there would be mainly two. Even the guy who is not in power starts being briefed on key intelligence issues. So that is what I think DIS should be looking at, how they should be doing it. Yeah.
We recently had from the Director General at the PAC, there are millions and millions of pula being paid to these former DIS agents who are effectively just sitting at home, right? The specific figure that was put was approximately 8.1 million pula. Beyond the money itself, what does this reveal about leadership, about governance, about accountability within the DIS?
I think beyond the money issue, the biggest threat there is the security of the country. Like we talked about earlier on, these people are repositories of key very sensitive information about the country. Secrets, I'm talking about serious secrets. They might leak because of Dinto Atsabon. But there also, you can imagine if not even a civil or even an attack from outside was afoot, because they are busy fighting, they would not even know. They would not even know, hey, South Africa is about to attack, because they are busy fighting. Lastly, it goes to paint also the extent to which controls internally have collapsed. Yeah. So would this happen if top leadership changed every 4 years? I think that is one way of managing these things. But if you stay there forever, people lose faith in you. You also resort to what is called empire building, where you now think you are indispensable and nobody can touch you. You see, so if there's a tenure which says 4 or 5 years, it's easier to manage such scenarios.
And one thing we know, Parliament Yarona, through the PAC, they've questioned the Director General of the DIS on several occasions, even when Isaac Kgosi was still in power, right? But many people feel as though very little changes through these engagements, through these discussions, in particular relation to the DIS, but also in general. These oversight committees, Parliament on intelligence, the DIS tribunal that we have set up, and the PAC. Are these toothless dogs as compared to the DIS?
I think it's got to do with the culture and the history. DIS, since formation, controversy has followed DIS wherever they went. But also the fact that Botswana are resisting giving it a vote of legitimacy. No, they are skeptical. So we need to ask ourselves first, do we need DIS? If the answer is yes, then we have to really start afresh by saying what is going to be the power DIS, because DIS is going, for it to function efficiently, it needs secrecy, no doubt about it. But then we also have to say there's going to be accountability, at least to this level. So whoever leads the DIS at any given time has to give in to the knowledge. I have to account to Parliament, I have to account to the tribunal, so that you have the confidence to go to tribunal. Have you ever heard any Motswana go tribunal? DIS has invaded my privacy. Can you look at why they did 1, 2, 3? Botswana don't even bother because they have no faith in these oversight institutions, the DIS. So it's very sad. But this culture, I think it can be changed.
I think if I wasn't a lawyer and I didn't know about the law, I wouldn't know about the DIS tribunal at all.
Yes,
I don't think Botswana know about the DIS tribunal.
That's exactly that. Linda, I know about it because I've always reported on the DIS. It's very, very important oversight body committee. Because like I'm saying, it is led by a very senior lawyer, over 10 years experience, senior enough to be a high court judge. You see, so how you report this person, faith, no, I can trust judgment. But then imagine DISF and then you take a central committee member, chair of the tribunal. You are also the DIS. But it's all to do with human nature. Absolute control. DIS.
If you had the power today to amend the ISS, the Intelligence and Security Service Act, what are those maybe 3 reforms that you would introduce, at least to restore public confidence in the DIS?
I would require the oversight to be effective. I would call on the Director General to find a better way to deal with the media. The adversarial relationship has not worked. Because if you allow Director General to work closely with the media, then the media gets to understand and also know why they have to give space to DIS operations. And then lastly, I would call on the DIS Director General to stay away from party politics. Look, the law is, the act is very clear. They collect information. They also advise the president and government. But throughout its history, DIS has always stayed too close to where money is, especially with the tendering, public procurement. I think that has to to be taken back a little bit. It has soiled their hands.
Yeah. Okay, we put this question up on our Facebook page, right? And we basically wanted to get an assessment of Botswana's thinking in relation to the DIS. Do you trust the DIS? Most of the comments, they're really a comedic bunch to say it's confidential. I can't say this in public, repeating Brigadier Peter Mahosi's words. But it really shows that Botswana don't trust the DIS. Botswana do not have faith in the DIS's efficacy, right? So let me challenge you on this one. What is the strongest argument for keeping the DIS? If you were to defend the DIS before Parliament tomorrow, what would you say?
Look, as crafted by the law, DIS security says channel is Botswana is about to be attacked and the like. But also the economic interests of the country. You always want to be ahead. For example, Botswana, they are under danger from synthetics, so that we can better prepare and advise government. So on such things like trade, somebody else is trying to harm the interests of Botswana, because DIS mandate is internal, it is also external. So there's a lot that DIS should be doing. So now, if you ask me, if I were the president, I would strengthen the controls that DIS and give it more, not only more control, but also make sure it's more accountable. Make sure that they understand the democratic ethos, it's a transparency, because transparency will benefit them more. This thing, national security guys to run away from accounting. In
terms of the debate that's going on between Botswana right now, Botswana, some of them, they argue DIS is beyond repair, it should be disbanded and abolished altogether, and some of them believe no, it simply needs stronger oversight. Jagobua, which side of that debate do you for?
I'm for repair. I think there's room for redemption. I think it would take a long time and a lot of hard work, but with political will, with skills at the top of people who really believe in democracy and accountability, it can happen. Because look, we cannot spend a day without an intelligence organization. We can't. As a country, pragmatically, that is not possible, especially not today, because when 9/11 happened in America, there was a big commission thereafter just to examine what were the lapses the intelligence. Why did 9/11 happen? About 18 intelligence organizations in America. So we cannot stay without DIS.
Tabang Momakwa on the WhatsApp line, they're asking a question. I want to hear Spencer's view on issue DIS buys a ranch, then DG buys livestock like Jangfela. I assume he's talking about Tautuna Lodge or Tautuna Ranch, like they put it, and DG na reka dinku. From the owner, and he said it was David Brink, the late David Brink. What's your take on that?
That's very unfortunate. Again, it creates perceptions, because now the whole thing gets entangled in where the line is really separating the director general from the organization. Because look, there will come an instance where the director general should be able to buy a ranch. DIS. It could be using his name or somebody else's name, but somewhere that there should be the paper trail. It's not actually his, it belongs to the state, but they are buying it and putting it under their name because of 1, 2, 3. It happens the world over. But now when he's doing this thing of, because he can always buy or whatever you are saying, animals elsewhere. Why does he choose to buy from this very person from whom he bought farm? It creates the overlap and serious suspicions that now haunt and dog DIS.
I wish we could have this conversation the whole night, but in terms of final words, maybe to Botswana about what they're feeling, especially with the PAC having examined the DIS recently, what would you say to Botswana?
I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with the Public Accounts Committee myself. Their confidence has increased, but there's a lot of room for improvement, especially insofar as extracting information from their the subjects, the accounting officers. So they need now, having gotten their confidence increased, now they have to refine their skills in how to ask these questions without being combative, without necessarily coming out as too arrogant, and even, I would say, fighting the people from whom they really want information. So you can be subtle and still get a lot of information from the source that you want. So now the confidence is good, because they also, you can see that they are being fed a lot of information, much of it correct. And the government should be asking themselves, why is so much information leaking? And it's clear, there are so many people, especially public servants, who are disaffected. Now we need to know why. Because what it means is that this information that is with the public servants, with the civil servants, it can easily now be sold to sources that would be very, very dangerous to the country.
Definitely. Mr. Mogapi, thank you so much. I appreciate
you very
your
much,
time. Where do we find you? How to talk especially for advisor?
Available over social media. Could be on X, formerly Twitter. It could be on Facebook. And my phone is 72110101.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Mogapi.